Hello, everyone. Justin Bradford, Penalty Box Radio, and really excited to welcome Carmine Guerriero on here. He made history at UAH when he played there, and now he's coming back as a coach. So, Carmine, first of all, welcome and thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me, Justin.
So let's go back now to your career, and you had a fantastic career at UAH. I mean, you set history, especially in the playoffs, with those 76 saves. What are the feelings for you to come back now to your alma mater?
Oh, it means everything to me. Like when this whole process began, actually when the team first folded, it was I called everybody who I could think of and just kind of we all talked about it. I was really sad, heartbroken. I mean, this was a place that I was really proud of, and it was it just it meant everything to me. It gave me so much. So obviously when that happened, I was extremely sad. Even like my parents, they're like, hey, it's okay. There's a chance that it'll come back. Sure enough, it came back, and then I started talking to the guys, and one thing led to the other, and it became a possibility for me to come back, and I was like ecstatic. I'm like, oh my gosh, this could be, this is what I'd want to do, be a coach, and this could be an opportunity to do it at my alma mater where, I just had the best time of my life. And it happened, and I couldn't be any happier to be here right now.
And so this isn't your first stint as a coach. You were a goaltending coach for St. Lawrence last season. What was that like? And was that little taste that you needed in terms of coaching to say, this is what I want to do as a career now?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've been coaching for a long time, probably since, it's probably been 10 years since I've been goalie coaching specifically. And I also have a younger brother. He's 14 years old. So I coach him as well. I've seen enough hockey to know even what it takes to be a forward. So, but yeah, last year I got the opportunity to go and do some volunteer coaching at St. Lawrence. The coaching staff there was great. Brent Brecky, like they all welcomed me with like open arms, and they kind of just showed me the ropes, like just being in the meetings with them and seeing how they ran their show, and then them really giving me like the confidence to go out and do what I needed to do with the goalies. They really took my word, so what I had to say, it meant something to them, and that was great. So I really enjoyed my time there, and if this wasn't an option for me and the coronavirus wasn't a thing, then I'd be heading back there, just because I was getting to know the goaltenders and just a whole place there. It was a great experience. So, but to your point, yes, once I had my foot in the door there, I saw what it was like, and I'm like, I could do this all day, every day.
Well, that's great. I know that UH is excited to have you, and it's like just building for the future. And you were part of that group really laying another foundation in terms of when they got into the WCHA, coming from independent to be in a conference, and now they're having to kind of do this again. So it's kind of your second stint at laying a foundation, but now as a coach. So going through this experience of growing as a program, how are you going to be able to relate your experience when you're a player in laying a foundation to now being a coach and instilling that in your players too?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of things, as a player. I think when you're playing, you don't realize what you have, right? And that's, to me, like the biggest thing. I look back, and yeah, sure, I think of all the great times, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But there's certain things that I did as a player, um, that I regret. And it's not even playing wise, just like attitude wise, just ways of like bringing my teammates together rather than being uh just like a burden. Like I was not there's times where I was not happy, I was frustrated, and there's just like a different way of going about that and to handle that. And I just want to make sure that I'm there for the players. They could come and talk to me whenever they want about anything, and I'll be more than happy to try and lead them in the right direction, basically not do the same things that I did. I obviously had like a pretty good career at UAH. Not happy with the way it ended, but I mean, I did some things right, but I feel like I could have done more things right in order to, maximize my career here. So I just want to share my experience with the players, and I want them to know that, if they're ever feeling uh, down, frustrated, whatever it may be, if they want advice, like I'm literally always here. They could walk into my office. I really want them to use me as much as they can, So
That's spoken like a true coach right there. Take your
yeah,
experiences and pass it on because, yeah, you obviously, whatever mistakes you made, whether big or small, you want to make sure that they don't make those and that they learn from the experiences that you had. And so that's spoken like a coach right there. And you had a brief stint as well playing the ECHL. So that little bit of pro experience, obviously, there's plenty of UAH players that have gone on to play in the SP and the E, and then even Josh Kestner playing in the A as well. So that little bit of experience there too, I'm sure is going to come in handy of just like, hey, this is what it takes to make it to the pro level. So how can you share that experience as well? Plus, I mean, you played in France too, so you got to play overseas and had that experience, which I'm sure plenty of them would be interested in as well.
yeah, definitely. Like that's something that I plan to share with them as well. I mean, especially my first year in the East Coast Hockey League, you want to talk about overcoming adversity in college? Like, sure, UAH, we didn't have it easy, but what I went through in the ECHL my first year playing on 5 different teams, I was basically in the plane or on the bus way more than I was on the ice. Like that's what, and the ups and downs that I went through that year, taught me so much about myself and about hockey as a whole and what it takes to keep going and what it takes to, move to the next level. Um, and so it also taught me like just good habits. I started changing the way I did things. Everything I did, I went about it like a pro. That was the approach I was taking, and I'm telling you, like everything you could think of, that's how I was going about it. So I realized through that process and that experience where it was extremely hard that I had to change my ways in order to get success. And sure enough, the next year I went to play in France and we were regular season champions, and it paid off. And now I'm super excited to be able to share that to the guys here at UAH, because I feel like for us now it's not even about turning the corner anymore. Like it just has to happen. Like this program has to go to the next level. There's you know we have a very short leash. Like it's got to happen now, and I want to help these players bring this program to that next level. And it's through sharing my experiences that I think that I'm going to be best at doing that.
And especially your experiences are really recent as well. So it's
Yeah.
not like somebody throwing it back, 20, 30 years. No offense to anyone that's 20 or 30 years from playing, but you just lived this as well. So I think that'll hopefully help them relate just in terms of age and everything too. And so with that, to kind of wrap it up, I'm sure as a goaltender, because I always love getting the minds of a goaltender and seeing how things just evolve over time. How have you seen just in the past, say, decade, that the position of goaltender has continued to evolve with the game? Because we're seeing so many different types of goaltenders out there. We obviously see plenty of them peak at different ages like Jordan Binnington, or we see big things coming out of California like Thatcher Demko, or we see a resurgence like Robin Lehner and getting 3 shutouts in that series. I mean, it's just interesting to see how the game's changing for goaltenders. So just wanted to get your take on how you think the evolution of the goaltender's been.
No, it's been absolutely fascinating, honestly. You look at, like you mentioned, just these playoffs. I've been watching like the playoffs and the qualifying rounds, like Corpusalo, Carey Price, like all of these guys. They're playing incredibly well, and that's because the technique and just goaltending itself. It's continuously changing, and I still think that it's very young in its stages of because you look back 20 years ago, guys were still standing and doing like these kick saves, right? It's crazy to think, but now you see these guys, new techniques, and just it's very innovative. It's a very innovative position. Like you try things, you see what works and what doesn't work, and clearly, I think what we see in these playoffs. You mentioned that there's a lot of different styles of goaltenders, and they've they've all had success just in these playoffs, right? Whether it be Leonard, or Demko, who are completely different goaltenders, or it'd be Carey Price and, you know, just Khudobin. Like it's crazy that everybody's very different, but they have all had success. So to me, what that says is that your style as a goaltender doesn't matter so much. If you're comfortable playing that style, then that's fine. But the techniques and the practices, the goalie coaching has to be tailored to your style. And so, like, you can't have one mold and try to fit everyone in. It doesn't work that way, in my opinion. I think that you see a guy like Leonard, he's probably getting coached a different way than, you know, a guy like Demko. It's just different stuff, and that's going to be my job now with the 3 goaltenders that we have here. They're all very different goaltenders. Like, quite literally, all 3 of them are very different. So I'm going to have to just tailor practices and techniques to these guys and see what works for them. So we're gonna have a good year with the goaltenders. It blows my mind that in Division I hockey, there's no or very little goalie coaching. There's a lot of volunteer goalie coaching, but an actual goalie coach who's there 24/7, there's not many of them. And the way I see it is, you look at Division I football, you have an offensive coordinator, a defensive coordinator, and it's the same thing with hockey. You have an offensive coach and a defensive coach. But in football, the hardest position to play is what? Probably QB. They got a QB coach, right?
Yep.
Without a QB coach, it's extremely difficult to have success at that position, because there's so much pressure. It's so mentally draining. It's like goaltending is the exact same way. That's how I see it, and it just blows my mind that there's none. So I'm just happy to be able to come here and help UAH and these 3 goaltenders develop over the course of the next 4 or 3 years. You know, of their career.
2 things. You know better than probably anyone about what it means for a goaltender to be able to steal a game,
Yeah.
especially at the college level. And 2, especially with your experience as well, looking at it, these are really formative years for goaltenders. And if they have a goaltending coach that's working with them, the amazing things they could do in 3-4 years at college for their future careers in pro or in traveling overseas or things like that, is those 4 years could be extremely formative for them. So I think that's going to pay dividends for these guys. And hey, it's probably going to help with recruiting too for years to come.
Yeah, who knows? I hope it does. I really hope it does. But I do know that the goalies will be taken care of, and they'll be, we'll be working hard with them. And by the end of their, like, my goal for them is by the end of their 4 years or 3 years, what they have left, I want them to be ready for that next level. Like, that's going to be my job, right? And I want to see these guys move on, because I know that's why you come and play Division I hockey. A lot of guys come and play here because they want to move on to the next level. And now my job is going to be to obviously help them to have success here with the program, right? But also to get them ready for that next step in their playing career. So super excited about it.
Well, I know the UH community is really excited about having you back. It's a big, big deal. So best of luck on this season. And it's been great catching up with you, Carmine.
Thank you. It's been great catching up with you too. We'll talk soon.